Hello, hello. It's time. This is not a drill. We are here, man. It is finally concluded after about 2 months, maybe a month longer than I was hoping it would take. We are here. It is time to discuss my pick to win the Super Bowl, the best team in the NFL, in my humble opinion. Um, let's get right into it, man. It's time to discuss the Baltimore Ravens, the number one team in the NFL, the final installment of these NFL team rankings. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. So, as we all know, the Ravens were very successful last year, winning 12 games. And I think the number one storyline was that the addition of Derrick Henry and how good he would look in combination with Lamar Jackson. That tandem did not just meet, it exceeded even the loftiest of expectations. There was some concern, skepticism from some people who were acting like Derrick Henry had lost a step. No, he simply he was just worn down playing behind one of the worst teams in the NFL for years on end with the Titans. He looked absolutely rejuvenated. And along with Saquon Barkley, he kind of led that class of running backs who were kind of given up on by their former teams and went elsewhere and found tremendous success. And what makes the Ravens just so dangerous last season and looking forward into the future is that I don't know if there's a more terrifying prospect to just play against to try and stop whatever than Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in tandem. I've seen posts and things like that where it says that they are the most dangerous duo in NFL history in terms of strictly just running the football. And I have to agree because we're talking about a guy in Derrick Henry who was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion, had, and this is the thing, people give a lot of praise, due praise to Saquon Barkley, but if we really break down the numbers, I believe Derrick Henry was the best running back in football last year, 2,114 yards from scrimmage and 18 touchdowns. So I just, now he did play one more game than Saquon, but I feel like if we really look at the numbers, he has a strong case to be made as the best running back in football. And oh, by the way, Lamar ran for 915 yards, 6.6 yards per carry. It was beautiful to watch, and it's one of the most unstoppable things in the league. And on top of that, Lamar was the best quarterback in football last year. And yet again, he does it with a lackluster group of receivers. I mean, it's really not even a debate at this point that Lamar does not have like a great group of weapons. I think they all played well last year. They played above expectations, and a lot of that was just because how well Lamar was playing. But I do feel like several of theirs, we're going to get into it, were playing above the level that people expected them to play at. And also, a top 10 defense, undeniably, for the Ravens last season. It just felt like everything was working. Todd Monken, in his second year as the offensive coordinator, appeared to really figure. I mean, obviously, his first year, Lamar won the MVP, but in year two, it felt like things were even better, right? And they make the playoffs. They win a playoff game against the Steelers. They beat the Steelers, and an extremely close snow game against the Bills comes down to too many mistakes by the Ravens offense. Listen, they were the best offense in their conference, not even close. Probably the second best offense in the league last year behind the Lions, and they turned it over too many times. Too many key issues. A lot of people blame Mark Andrews, and justifiably so. He deserves all the blame he got for them losing that game. His drop was embarrassing. I believe he also had a fumble earlier on as well. So he made multiple key mistakes, but Lamar did as well. That was not Lamar's best game he's ever played. And when he gets all the praise from guys like me calling him one of, if not the best quarterbacks, those moments get hyperanalyzed. And he does deserve a greater share of the credit as well as the blame when things go right and as well as things when things go wrong. So I still believe though that they are a top level team. And the thing is, I feel like they got better, you know. So let's break it down exactly here. What made them so unstoppable last year? There is no argument to me that Lamar was not the best quarterback in football last year. Over 5,000 total yards, right? 45 total touchdowns. First of all, a 41-4 touchdown to interception ratio might be one of the best I've ever seen. I know Herbert got a lot of credit, but he had like what 25 to 3 years. It was like It's not even close. And when you add in if Lamar ran for 0 yards this is the thing. If Lamar ran for 0 yards last year, he would have been a Pro Bowl quarterback. But when you combine him being a Pro Bowl level passer with him being one of the most, if not the most, unstoppable running quarterbacks ever, it's just unstoppable. It's hard to even express exactly how good he was last year. And then you had Zay Flowers, right? With I'm not going to call it a breakout season, but he is truly playing up to the value of drafting him in the first round, right? 1,100 yards, last season. Rashad Bateman, I was really impressed with Rashad Bateman. I believe it was a contract year for him. Remember, former first round pick out of Minnesota, he was labeled clearly as a bust, and justifiably so his first couple years, but 9 touchdowns last year, as well as an impressive performance in the playoffs as well. So he really did have a career year when it mattered most. And I was just really impressed with him throughout the year last year. Mark Andrews, it's so interesting, right? Because when you talk about his season, obviously everybody harps on the playoff game, and as well as the start of last season, he was like non-existent the first month. But in the middle of the regular season, like really just the majority of last regular season, Mark Andrews was really, really good, like damn near a Pro Bowl level. Arguably, he was a Pro Bowl level player last year, but obviously he's not even it's not like age is getting up to him. Like tight ends can easily be Pro Bowl, all pro level players in their early 30s, but it's like, do you really want to continue with this Mark Andrews story? I don't know. He was good last year, but I think their plan is to move towards Isaiah Likely sooner rather than later. I love Justice Hill, by the way. Might be one of my favorite backup running backs because I just think he complements Derrick Henry so well. When you think of some of the other best backups in the league, David Montgomery, Tyler Algier, they don't really have the Justice Hill play style. You know what I mean? They're more of the big physical bruising backs, but I guess technically David Montgomery is a starter actually. But it's like I think Justice Hill, if he was a backup anywhere else, I don't think he would be as effective as the backup for the Ravens. It just feels like a perfect fit for him, right? And outside of that, those top 6 guys, obviously including Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, they don't really have much depth outside of that, but I think that could change a little bit going to this next season. And then defensively, I don't know why, but I just feel like I heard a lot of people kind of talking down on the Ravens defensively. Listen, obviously they were not what they were in 2023 when they had Mike Macdonald as the DC. Are they arguably were the best defense in the league, but under first year DC Zach Orr, I mean the numbers don't lie. They were top 10 undeniably. They had some terrible game like the Browns game, for example, sticks out like a sore thumb. That was just an embarrassing performance, but overall a really good unit. And they have their stars: Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, um, Nnamdi Madubuike, one of the best pass rushing interior defensive alignment. And then you got breakout seasons from guys like Adafa Owe, who they needed to have a big year, and Kyle Van Noy out of nowhere with a career year, 12 and a half sacks for 33-year-old Kyle Van Noy. Is he going to go down as like one of the best journeyman players ever? It's like no matter where he is, you know he's going to produce. So it's like I really feel like they got the most out of this unit last year, as well as guys like Marlon Humphrey, for example. I forgot to mention him with their stars, but it's like I like this unit defensively. And just like their offense, I do think it has room to grow and get better. I think they made several moves this offseason. We're going to get to it where I feel like they certainly got better defensively. So let's look at their depth chart here. So offensively, I'm trying to think of changes that happened offensively. I know they lost a guard. They did lose one guard. I forget his name. Did he go to the Dolphins or was it somewhere else? But not a major loss. And the wide receiver room, they add DeAndre Hopkins. Let's start there because the rest of the offense is fairly similar, which is a great thing for them. DeAndre Hopkins is not what he used to be. Even 2 years ago in Tennessee, I just feel like he's too far removed from being some sort of like game changing player. But like personally, I would even take Rashad Bateman over Hopkins because I just know how good he looked in this offense last year. I have no clue how DeAndre Hopkins is going to look. Is he a major upgrade over their previous wide receiver three? Yeah, their previous wide receiver three was Nelson Aguilar. I mean, like, come on, like that is a major upgrade. But I don't even expect him to be top three in terms of catches or yards because I do think Mark Andrews is still going to be a fairly large, piece for them. But it's weird. It's just I think this is why I like. It's a low risk, high reward move, right? Because if he is nothing, well, then they're what they were last year, which was a top two, top three offense. But if he is a difference maker, well, now that changes things. I think he certainly could still be a valuable deep threat for this offense because this was a very explosive offense. They had, I don't know what the exact number is, but I have to assume they were like top three, top five in terms of just explosive pass plays because in order to try and defend the run of Lamar and Derrick Henry, you have to stack the box. It is not an option. If you play the Ravens, you have to take away the element of Lamar and Derrick Henry killing it on the ground. Because if you're even 50-50, if you are not 100% committed to stopping the Ravens run game, they're going to run for 200 yards on you. It's just a guarantee. How many rushing yards did they have last year? Let me see here. I'm just looking strictly at rushing yards. Between Henry and Lamar, that was 2,800. Another 200 from Justice Hill. They ran for over 3,000 rushing yards last year. I don't know if that's best in the league, but it sounds pretty damn good to me. So that has to be your first goal when you're going against the Ravens is to try and eliminate that factor, right? You have to stack the box. And listen, that's going to lead to a lot of advantageous passing opportunities for Lamar and Mark Andrews and Bateman and Zay Flowers and all these guys. And that's where I think DeAndre Hopkins is kind of going to shine a little bit. But there's no way you cannot play the Ravens and feel good about the matchup. It's just you have to hope. Your only hope is that their pass game is just not on point that day. Because if it is, you're going to get shredded, absolutely shredded. And here's the thing: they are so effective at what they do. I honestly believe if you took this Ravens offense, gave them an average college football defense, and put them in like Army and Navy's conference, the AAC, and they couldn't throw the ball. The rule was that the Ravens could not throw a forward pass all year. They could only run the ball with Lamar, Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, sweeps to Flowers and guys like that. I believe they would go 15, 16 and win the national championship. It's just it is it their run game is so effective in of itself that they could win, I think, just like off that. I feel like they could go like 5, 6 wins in the NFL, not throwing a single pass. That's how effective I think they are. But when you add in Lamar, and that is the big difference, right? I just feel like Lamar, from a schematic standpoint, is the best quarterback in football. There's nothing he can't do, and he's come into his own as a passer now. He's getting better. He just had his career best year in year, what, 7 or 8? He's not even 30 yet. I don't think so. It's so hard to pick against them because they don't have to be at 100%. If they're at 85 or 90%, I'm picking them to beat just about everybody. So it's tough, man. It's really tough to not talk about what I like with this offense. And in terms of the offensive line, because quarterback's the same, running back's the same, tight end's the same, offensive line, their tackles, I like Ronnie Stanley. He is the most veteran, most experienced guy on this unit. Good pass protector, above average. I would actually say just good overall. Doesn't allow a whole lot of pressures. Too many penalties. I think that is an area he could get cleaned up. Not a great run blocker either, but very solid. Most teams would pick him to be their starting left tackle. Right tackle, Roger Rosengarten. For a rookie second round pick last year, I was very impressed with how he looked. I think he was a very good pass protector, and he's a guy who I think could take a massive step from year one to year two. And I wouldn't be shocked if a year or two from now, he's even better than a guy like Ronnie Stanley. So I think a lot of potential in Rosengarten. He's uh, definitely above where you thought he would be in terms of his development at this point. Tyler Linderbaum, I think, is the best overall lineman they have. He's a top 3 or top 4 center in the entire league. Absolutely massive. Still on his rookie contract as well. That was one of those picks when they drafted him. It's like, oh yeah, you just know it's going to be successful. You know it's going to work out. He just appears to have all the traits you need, and he is certainly a damn near, if not already, an All-Pro level center. Both of their guards, they're not question marks. It's just their guard positions are fairly weak, and you can kind of expect that. I mean, you got a fourth round pick and a seventh round pick starting at those two spots, right? So not really anything to be concerned about. I think Andrew Voorhees, he played limited action last year, only like 200 something snaps, but he was below average. I think he certainly has a ton of room to improve, and I expect him to. And then Daniel Falele, um, he's average. It's just if he's your worst lineman, you're a pretty good offensive line, and that's how I feel about the Ravens. And like I said, everything else with their offense is identical. And if they are exactly what they were last year, with minor improvements by adding DeAndre Hopkins, I do. My current pick is that the Ravens are the best offense in the NFL as of right now because the Lions lost a couple offensive linemen and their offensive coordinator. The Ravens retained their offensive coordinator. Their offensive line is the same, if not better. I think because development from young guys like Voorhees, Rosengarten, even Linderbaum could make them better. I just the Ravens are the best offense in the NFL right now, in my opinion. And defensively, multiple additions. I don't know where to start. I guess let's start with this front seven because let me scroll here. I got to make sure I understand this. They only had three guys last year who really like you can confidently say got after the quarterback because I mentioned Matabuike as the interior guy, one of the better interior pass rushers in the NFL, but then Van Noy and Owe as the two best edge rushers. I do think they needed more help there. And getting Mike Green in the second round, and listen, I am extremely concerned about his off the field issues. A lot of athletes, especially football players, I don't know why, for one reason or another, they have these allegations of, some sex assault, rape, whatever you want to call it. They have these accusations. I don't have no idea. I have no opinion on it because there's no way to have an opinion on it unless you know all the facts, and nobody knows all the facts except the two parties I was involved, right? So if somebody has one of these accusations, I'm concerned, but I understand it happens to a lot of people. If somebody has two accusations, that is a major, huge red flag because I would assume, right, if you go through something like that, that would literally change the way you look at life and the way you think about approaching or talking to women, right? For one person to have multiple of these type of accusations is crazy to me. So I understand why he fell to the second round, but strictly talking about talent, just about everybody I know had Mike Green in their top 15, top 20. He is a bona fide first round talent. And if I mean the only question is, whether or not he continues to do this type of things involving women. But if he stays clean and he stays on the field and he uses his talent, this could be a major. I mean, he could be their best pass rusher next year. That's not off the table. So it's a huge acquisition to get him in the second round, and this front seven becomes even more dangerous now, in my opinion. I love their linebacking duo of Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson. When they got Trenton Simpson in the third round 2 years ago, I immediately called that a steal. I love that pick for him. And Roquan Smith was an All Pro last year, so definitely one of the more talented linebacker duos in football. And this might be my favorite secondary in the NFL. I mean, let's start with who do I start with? I mean, you got four first round picks and actually five first round because wasn't Jair Alexander a first round pick? You have five first round picks. One, two, three of these guys have been all pros, if I'm not mistaken. And then you got two back to back first round picks, Nate Wiggins, Malachi Starks. Do I start with Nate Wiggins here? Let me see real quick here. I just like this pick so much when they made it last year. I just felt like he was so widely regarded as a first round pick, like top 20 pick, but he fell for some reason. The Ravens snatched him up. And I mean, as a rookie last year, let me look at the advanced stats here. Very good grades, extremely good grades as a rookie. I would wager to say he was one of, if not the best rookie cornerbacks I've ever seen. He didn't allow a single touchdown in over 60 targets. I mean, that's incredible. He had more takeaways than touchdowns allowed. And I love the selection. I think he's a guy who's only going to get better in time. You add Jair Alexander, who, listen, he has had major injury concerns. It is fair to say he's injury prone at this point. How many games has he missed? Jair Alexander. Let me just quickly look up and see because it's a major thing, right? He missed 10 games each of the last two seasons. He was healthy 2022, then he missed 13 games in 2021. So he has been hurt, severely hurt, 3 out of the last 4 years. It is fair to say he is injury prone at this point, but the fact of the matter is, they don't need him to be some sort of star. Remember, they got a steal in terms of TJ Tampa 2 years ago. So if things go wrong and he is your CB3 or just Chidobe Awuzie, like they have extreme talent and depth at their cornerback position. And then they draft Malachi Starks this year in the first round, who had, like, listen, Brian Branch is one of those players where it's like, it doesn't matter where he gets drafted. You just know he's going to come out and be a good NFL starting safety. It's the same exact thing with Malachi Starks. Everybody agreed he was a top 20, top 25 talent, but the value of safety is weird in the NFL in the draft. But it's like everybody is like, oh my goodness, the Ravens get Malachi Starks. That's an amazing pick. I have not found a single person who did not love the fact that the Ravens got Malachi Starks. Him combined with Kyle Hamilton has so much potential to be the most dangerous safety duo in football. it checks every box, right? Kyle Hamilton is a star in his own right, roaming safety, can play in the box. The best, he's better the closer to the line of scrimmage he is. And then Marlon Humphrey, he's been established. Everybody knows he's one of the top 10 cornerbacks in football, probably top 12 maybe. It's just, I love the secondary. And God forbid, if Malachi Starks plays like he could play out the gate, like if he has a Brian Branch type rookie season, and if Jair Alexander is healthy, this could be one of the best secondaries ever. Like it's just, if things go right, it is a dangerous, dangerous secondary. So let's just take a look at the overall position upgrades slash downgrades. Quarterback remains the same, best quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion, just in terms of talent. Wide receiver gets better because it can't get worse, right? I mean, DeAndre Hopkins could only help this wide receiver room. I didn't mention Devontae Walker, the former fourth round pick out of UNC. I love the value of the pick when they got him. Didn't make a huge impact as a rookie, but it's just he's one of those guys physically where I feel like he has all the tools. Got to work on his hands. Had some drop issues in college, but if he can put it together, I really like the potential of Devontae Walker going forward here. And listen, it didn't take Rashad Bateman 1 year or 2 years. So I'm not giving up on Walker just because he did not make a huge impact in his rookie year. But yeah, running back remains the same. One of the best running back rooms in football. Tight end remains the same. Offensive line. I could have put the up arrow on it, honestly, because I just think guys like Rosengarten and Voorhees and Linderbaum could all take steps forward theoretically. But until further notice, it's a good offensive line. Maybe top 12, top 10, I'm not sure, but I have no concerns about the offense. Like, there's not a single player on that starting five that gives me worries or concerns, right? Defensive line gets better solely through the addition of Mike Green. They have three guys now who I can confidently say could get 10 sacks next year. Linebacker, one of the best duos, if not the best duos in football between Roquan Smith and Trenton Simpson. Safety gets better. Add in Malachi Starks. Cornerback, I could have put two up arrows here because I think Nate Wiggins could even take a step forward, as well as getting Jair Alexander, but I only put one arrow. So the Ravens are a team which do not get worse anywhere, but they add DeAndre Hopkins, Jair Alexander, Malachi Starks, and Mike Green. Just for a team that won 12 games and was so good last year to make all of those additions and lose nobody significant is just insane to me. So I don't know how anybody could not think the Ravens are one of like if you don't think the Ravens are the best team, okay, fine. But if you don't have them in your top three, what are you smoking? I just see no argument for something like that. And here's a look at their schedule here. One thing I'd like to point out is that the front half of their schedule is extremely loaded in terms of good teams. And the back half of their schedule is much easier. I'm going to explain why I think that's so beneficial for them. But like, let's look at the first half of their schedule. On the road against the Bills, home against the Lions, road against the Chiefs, home against the Texans, home against the Rams. Those are five really tough games for anybody to play. So if we just take a look at their first, what's that, 2, 4, 6, 8, their first 9 games, they could go 5 or 4. I think if they went 6-3, they'd be happy with that, right? I think the goal is 6-3 there probably, but they could struggle in the first half of the year in terms of their standards, right? But down the stretch, Browns. I'm talking about strictly games where I think they're going to be, I don't know, 10-point favorites. Browns, Jets at home against the Bengals, at home against the Steelers, Patriots, then even at the it's like those last 8 games, I expect them to go either 6-2 or 7-1. And I love that because it's going to give them momentum heading into the playoffs. And as the temperature gets colder, they are going to lean onto their run game as other teams' defenses are going to start getting picked apart by injuries. I just think it's a perfect storm aligning for the Ravens in terms of their schedule, everything, their play style going into the playoffs, momentum. I think all the stars are aligning for the Ravens to just make the playoffs and be a really good team and then carry that momentum going into the playoffs. So it is official. The Ravens are my number one team in the league, and my official prediction is that the Ravens will beat an AFC West team in the conference championship game and then beat the winner of the Lions or the Eagles in the NFC championship game in the Super Bowl. That is my final prediction. I will not make any changes to that unless some quarterback gets hurt somewhere. That is my final prediction. I believe wholeheartedly in the Ravens, and not to toot my own horn, but I did correctly predict both the Super Bowl champion and the college football national champion last year. So I just have a little bit more credibility in this subject than other people. That's just my opinion, not to toot my own horn. But that is going to be it for this series, man. It is finally over. We have wrapped it up. I will be taking a small break from the NFL while I begin to finally start addressing college football. When was my last college football video? Because I do not count mock drafts as college football content. My last college football video, I got to scroll a long ways here. Oh, goodness. I guess it was the Nico leaving Tennessee. That was 3 months ago. It's been a while. A lot has happened in the college football world. There's a lot to get to where you're not far away from college football. So my next maybe 3 or 4 videos will be surrounding college football. Then I'll be bouncing back and forth between NFL and college football for just the rest of the year. So leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.